Hello, welcome to another video on the Scouring Early Access. Today's match is going to be a 2v2 match with Reforge mode turned on. And my team is going to be me, the Perfect Gamer, with my ally Mortal, against my enemies, Orc Slayer, and Unicorn Vegan. And over here I start as blue human player. This is the usual build order I do. I just send in most of my workers to get gold, because usually you run out very quickly. And then I send 2 workers to build a barracks. And you can also, I guess, start to make a second barracks, or if you don't want to amass a lot of archers, you can try and make a smithy to have a more mixed army composition. But I decided to do double barracks because there was a new unit added, the dwarf, and so I thought I could just spam a lot of archers, and then when I'm able to make a lot of dwarfs, I could use the dwarf as a meat shield or front line. Then I could use all the archers as support, which is why I did a double barracks instead of doing a barracks and a smithy build order. Now here my purple ally, Mortal, is playing as an orcs, and it does look like he is making a lot of warriors, just a single barracks. And over here, the black human player, the enemy, Orc Slayer, looks like he did a single barracks build order, just making archers. So similar to purple, it's just a single barracks. And here we can see the final enemy, yellow orc, and he did a double barracks. He's Unicorn Vegan, so he's going to be producing double the amount of warriors. So I guess similar to my build order, where I also made 2 barracks. But I'm going to have a lot of archers, which can become very useful after you get a tier 2 and get the archer damage. It's going to allow them to, I guess, have better fights, and in turn it's going to allow you to have better map control. And there you go. After having a good handful of units made, I start to go out on the map to try and clear some neutrals. Maybe I did shoot a few wolves here that I found in the forest. And as well, everyone else is clearing. Black player is killing some wolves here. In the meantime, the yellow player, I guess, killed some wolves in this forest. And now it looks like he's going to be going to the middle-ish area. He's going to be trying to take over this outpost. And of course the purple player killing some wolves, and I guess maybe some more wolves over here. And it does look like he's going to be making a second barracks. So he's going to be able to produce a big army pretty quickly if he wants to. And over here, after clearing some neutrals on this outpost or the bandits, I remember that was a pretty huge map. And in Classic, in Classic it's harder to expand, but in Reforged it's way easier and it's way more cost effective, especially if the enemy's never going to be attacking me. It's going to take a long time for them to run across the whole map. And of course, getting a second expansion, a first expansion, to get 2 bases is going to allow me to have more resources, which I can pump into dwarf production. And I guess over here I tried to help out my ally, shooting these bandits. And so both of the teams, some are going to the middle, across this very dark and wet marsh, or I guess a swamp. whatever you want to call it. Oh wow, look at this. There's a swamp octopus here. You can fight his little tentacles. It's like an entire whole boss fight here. I guess it looks like he's respawning more of his tentacles. And so you want to try and focus down his, I guess, head. But it did look a little funny how his tentacles were still fighting after you kill his head. But I guess it's just the limitations of the editor, I would say. Anyways, over here I was killing some neutrals. Trying to go over here, clear this camp. And I guess just scout out the map to see what is anywhere, because I didn't really play this map at all. It was my first time finding out what is where. And of course here, to start dwarf production, you need a tier 2. And you're gonna need a tavern to start producing them. But of course, I'm getting your town hall. It's going to take a very long time. But I didn't really want to invest too much into archers. Still went out of our resources to make more dwarfs. And here you can see I somehow managed to find a black bear here. I was slightly surprised, because this was more closer to our side of the map. So I tried to give chase a little bit. Then I do eventually give up and just try and go back through the middle and back to our part of the map. Yes, over here you can see I missed out on yellow attacking this little tower with, I guess, their own little special units as well. You can even capture them. Let's see the enemies. You can see they went quickly into dwarf production. And unlike in Classic, where you need a smoothie before you're able to build this dwarven tavern, in Reforged you don't even need a smoothie. You just need a tier 2, and then you can start making taverns right away. Over here you can see yellow. Also get a tier 2. And it does look like he's researching the shield ability. And it does look like they just did a single base all in, you could say, like a rush. Now it looks like they're going to be moving across the map to try and kill me, or I guess kill my team. And over here I did manage to kill these little goblins here. Now we'll try to fight back. And you can see it's a huge army here, so we're going to be having trouble taking them down. Here's a little surprise. I tried to run on top here, try and fight back, but I guess looking back I should have just ran away and tried to save these higher level archers. But yes, nonetheless I did manage to kill a pretty similar amount of archers that I lost here. So it wasn't a total loss. Here you can see my ally made his expansion a little later. But he did a similar strategy to Yo, where he made a lot of warriors because of his free barracks production. Even Yo only has 2. Here we begin fighting. And I didn't even manage to finish my tyrants. Only now. So I'm trying to produce some units. And he gets purple. Just kind of fighting here alone. I guess I didn't manage to tell him to maybe retreat, not just do this losing fight here. But nonetheless, I do somewhat try to stay back and try and snipe some units. I guess take the attention of the enemies away from my ally a little bit. Or do the best I can. Here I finally made a second tavern. And because of my second base, I'm gonna be allowed to have way more economy. I'm going to be able to produce way more units. And so I'm building archers from 2 barracks and trying to pump out a lot of dwarfs. And here my ally gets attacked. But here we can actually see that's mostly Yellow's army here. Black managed to lose a good amount of his army. And so my ally tries to fight back best he can. And here I saw I could help out, so I send in my reinforcements. And of course here, the dwarf. He's basically like a warrior and archer hybrid unit. You can tell him to shoot with his crossbow, and you can switch him to be a melee type of warrior unit. And a dwarf basically costs a similar amount to a muncher or a cavalier, but they do slightly less damage. But overall, their, I guess, strategic value is very good, because you can quickly switch their modes to accomplish whatever tactical, I guess, advantage that you need. If you need a lot of shields to fight a lot of archers, or if there's a lot of shielded warriors like we can see here, I can use my warriors to directly attack through their shield ability. From here my ally manages to lose his expansion, and I guess a lot of his army, or pretty much all of his army, and so it's pretty much up to me to try and push this back. But as we saw, this map is pretty huge, and so this is most of their army left here. So it's going to be difficult to get reinforcements. So over time I am going to be outnumbering them and going to be pushing them back. You can see here my little strategy, using my dwarves to be a front line, then using my archers to, I guess, be support fire. And I do manage to lose a lot of archers to the target firing of the enemy black player. And in the meantime, as I'm killing these archers here, just producing even more dwarves. And over here, the yellow player, I guess, tried to do a rush to try and make some berserkers, we can see here, which does require tier 3 citadel, and a little upgrade to allow you the ability to produce berserkers, which is wow, it's an entirely different unit here. He has a huge amount of health, 350, but in a classic he has 160 health, so it's way weaker in a classic mode. So these are more tankier units. But my enemy only has a single base economy, which is why he's not able to effectively produce from every part of his, or from all of his production. And as we can see here, you have to make these berserkers out of a forge, which is interesting, which can slow down the, or I guess force you to have a bit less berserkers, because you're going to be forced to make more smithies or forges, and those are more difficult to make. As we can see here, I'm able to effectively fight the enemies here, and if you'll need to retreat, you can always switch your dwarves to the crossbow mode, try and run away. Because over here, my ally didn't really have much of an army. And so I kind of had to fight this huge army all by myself. But here I tried to regroup with my archer reinforcements to try and fight the army. And so here I send in my forces, dwarves, surviving a very long time, especially when they're level 3. They become very difficult to take down because of their extra armor. I think they have, or for example, a level 3 archer has 0.10 armor, but a level 3 dwarf is going to have 0.20, which is double the armor value of a regular archer, or even RV units that can level up. And somehow I was able to push away these enemies here, and then eventually clean them up because of my second base providing me with all the resources, which basically allowed me to effectively produce from all 4 production buildings with 2 dwarven taverns and 2 barracks here. Even though I guess I forgot to look over here, and I'm going to be a little overwhelmed by the skeletons now. And here I realized you can make some potion crates, and so I tried to make a few, but it can be a little annoying to make a lot of them because they do cost a lot more resources here in comparison to the classic. Of course, here I managed to get a secret 3rd base because there was nowhere else to expand, so I decided to get a 3rd base. And over here, instead of trying to, I guess, try to rush to a tier 3, I was a little, I guess, confused or a little hectic trying to make all the units to survive. So I didn't really think of getting a tier 3. I was just thinking of making a huge army and then potentially doing a move against enemies. But in the meantime, you can see my ally managed to get some kind of army, got a 2nd base. All here he managed to harass the Yelper very effectively with his few heads. And so the Yelper doesn't have much of an economy left, so he does I guess, last ditch effort to try and do a final attack against our forces. But in the meantime, the Bike Pirate did get a 2nd base, got 2 more barracks, but you can see here he only has 1 dwarven tavern, so eventually I will have more dwarves that I can use to fight back. For some reason, the enemies decide to attack instead of trying to do a defensive kind of play, trying to defend their own bases. But I guess they were a bit desperate because the Yelper didn't really have much of an economy left. So over here, they begin attacking. I try to target fire the berserkers because I do remember they can do a little bit of a splash with their, I guess, little AoE that they can do. Here I saw my front line of my ally was kind of dying, and so I sent in my front line of dwarves to deal with this huge ranged army. And right about now, the enemies are pretty much giving up. Now I was a little confused because I thought it would be fighting until the end, or until we would have to go across the map to finish him off, but for some reason they decided to surrender after failing to do many attempted attacks against my ally and against me. But I guess because they decided to attack my ally first, kill his expansion, instead of attacking me and killing my production buildings here, somehow managed to survive and make a huge army of dwarves. See the results. You can see here that I managed to mine the most amount of gold, but I guess I did mine maybe 2,000 less. I guess roughly 10,000 less gold. I mean 10,000 more gold than my enemies here, which allowed me to produce more units, as we can see here. But we can relatively see he did a somehow even amount of kills, but my ally even somehow managed to get all the kills, and probably a good amount of these kills were his flying heads going into the Yo's base and killing huge amount of workers. And I guess that was a pretty interesting game, where the enemy tried to do an all-in or rush, but they managed to fail because the dwarfs were too much to handle. Anyways, if you liked the video, you can leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see more videos on the Scouring Early Access, then you can subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.